Greg Sankey fires back. He does not want to go Super League.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. You're back here again at Locked On West Virginia. Can't thank you enough for being here. This episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you for being everyday listeners here, guys. It really means a lot to me. We've grown almost 400 subscribers in a month, which I'd have never thought would happen. We're over 2,400 now. That makes you part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we cover your team every single day. And I've got a special guest today. A special guest, because he told, when I was on his show earlier, he gave me 3 or 4 specials, so I had to beat that. But he's also a great guy, man. Loves a lot of baseball as well. He knows Randy Mazey. Let's bring him on. Casey Porter. How's it going, man?
Yes, sir. Going great, man. Going great, Paul. And always great to talk to the Mountaineers. And of course, I'm dating myself, but like 12 years or however long it's been, I always say like a couple of years ago, whenever West Virginia joined the league, I can remember like it was yesterday. The Big 12 tournament was always in Oklahoma City at the Bricktown Ballpark. Baseball-wise, it's at Globe Field now. I don't think it'll ever return to Oklahoma City because of the outdoor element to it, but I can remember that first group of West Virginia baseball players, and I sat next to them and I talked to them, and they just were just so happy to be in the Big 12. And then, you know, Randy Mazey got it going. Of course, you have an Oklahoma State boy now running things there that's going to do a great job. Been doing a great job as an assistant, Steve Sabins. He did a great job at Oklahoma State. Then you got the facility built, and I was talking to Michael Grove, who pitched at West Virginia. He's a major leaguer now for the Dodgers, and he said when he got there, you know, all that locker room that they just built was like weight room stuff and all that, and they had pictures of what it was going to look like. And then he went back last fall and was so impressed with it. Now you guys have one of the best baseball facilities, one of the best baseball programs in the Big 12, and quickly growing into a powerhouse in that part of the country. So the football has always been great. I know you guys, right before you came into the Big 12, were one of the best programs in the United States of America. The travel's been tough and all that. I think we were talking earlier, Paul, I think that the cultural fit for West Virginia, the geographical fit's been terrible. I don't think there's any way around that, but the cultural fit, it just feels like West Virginia is a great fit. Now, what we need to do is we need to get some of these other schools around West Virginia kind of to connect the dots, so there's some less travel, like Louisville, something like that. You got Cincinnati last year to give you some trips that aren't quite as far. But, yeah, it's been a lot of fun having West Virginia in the Big 12.
Thank you for that, man. And you know, it's been tough, but hey, look, it's an early season. We got a big game coming up Saturday, which we're going to cover today, guys. But first, we want to get to a little bit of breaking news that happened just a little bit earlier. I messaged Casey Brand. Hopefully, he's got to catch up on this a little bit. Greg Sankey has fired back to the proposal that happened, and I'm going to share the screen really quick with you guys as we go along here. So, Sankey, what can you say about a guy like Sankey? Brandon Marcello posted this just a minute ago. He said, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey on the idea of a college football commissioner. I've studied it a little bit, and I come back to, I don't want to dumb down the Southeastern Conference to be a part of some Super League notion with 70 teams that some people speculate would hope would happen. Mm-hmm. They want to be us. And that's on them to figure out, not on me to bring myself back down to earth. Casey, how narcissistic was that? I mean, honestly, he's saying it like it's him.
Yeah. Well, and pride cometh before the fall. I can tell you, how about not having Boulder, Colorado? How about not having Phoenix, Arizona? And, hey, the Big Ten can brag all they want, but when UCLA is not good, they don't put people in the stands. Los Angeles, I have another site, Dodgers Daily. I can tell you Los Angeles fans are Dodgers fans. UCLA is a distant thought in their mind. USC, when they're good, can get people to go there. But the LA market, okay, whatever. You know, I mean, so you're talking about trying to create an NFL light type of deal But why the NFL works is because they have all the major markets throughout the entire United States of America and all these big cities that are interested in that. So, like, if you're going to eliminate all these large cities, like, let's think about, where's Alabama located? Tuscaloosa, Alabama, right? OU is in Oklahoma City, and so, this isn't like the New York Jets and the New York Giants and the New England Patriots and that kind of thing. So, hey, if Greg Sankey wants to think that only the SEC teams and the Big Ten teams can keep the attention of the entire rest of the United States, if he makes everybody else other than those schools irrelevant, then I think he's greatly mistaken. I think there will be a point to where those schools realize that they need us as much as we need them when we talk about the non-SEC, non-Big Ten schools. And the reason why I say that is because, when you're eliminating a lot of people when you're, nobody really, like, somebody do what?
It'd be millions.
Yeah. Somebody in say middle of Texas isn't going to care about a Vanderbilt Mississippi State game, right? I don't see any way that could work.
Yeah, and it's just odd, man, that he would come off like that. Okay, fine, I get it. You have positioned the SEC to be at the top. Yeah, I get that. Own that. That's great. But it's just the way you're saying this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have, like, if you want to get where I am, get where I am. I'm not going to come back down to you. And, like, he's using this, like, he's saying I statements here like he is the SEC. I just found it to be pretty narcissistic, just overall.
Yeah.
I don't like the tone. It's very smug. Greg Sankey smells his own farts. That's what I think.
Yeah.
He's that smug.
Yeah, there's some great schools in the Big 12 and the ACC, man. I think he's probably thinking that he's probably going to pluck the ones that he wants and whatever and make a 32, 40 team league. But I guess, and good luck to you, but I can just tell you, you're going to need teams to play.
You are, and the thing is what kind of irreparable damage can be done? Let's say you do go that route. You go power two, north versus south, whatever you want to call it. What kind of irreparable damage could you do if you do that? Find out, oh, wait, maybe we do need these people. By the time you reformulate it, if that even would happen, the damage can be done. Some people may say, no, I'm done forever on college football. I'm an NFL guy, or maybe not even watching all. Maybe might even run some people from sports altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I know if Oklahoma State or West Virginia were relegated to the back seat, it means no playoff, no anything in football. Most of our fans would, I've thought about this a lot. Would I still want to watch? I probably would, but it would drive a lot of passion out of it, unless there was really something else to play.
Well, I would still watch Oklahoma State. What I would not watch is 1 second of the SEC or the Big Ten. I think there would be a certain amount of fans that would be so mad about it, they would boycott it, right? And then there'd be another certain amount of fans that were just kind of casual fans of like OSU or West Virginia and just wouldn't care. Just don't care about watching Indiana and Purdue play on a particular Saturday just because they're in the Big 1 or 2. So my point on that is I think what the Big 12 and ACC needs to say is have at it. Do whatever you feel like you need to do. Go make your 32 teams. See how that works out for you. That's kind of my point on that, because I just don't see any way that it works.
Yeah.
Call their hand on
it. What did you think about before we go to break here, what did you think about the proposal that had Gordon Gee, Kirby Hocutt tied to it yesterday? Did you get a chance to look at that, Eddie?
I have not got a chance. I've been swamped with the OSU stuff and that kind of deal, but I have not really dove into that.
Yeah, it's basically just they want to do like a 74 team conference with the rotating bottom 4 and the upper 4,
like the soccer league.
Like soccer league, yeah. And it is interesting, and there's a lot of power players, including the president of Tennessee, that has signed on to be an ambassador for it. So he's in the SEC. So it's like there could be some conflict here.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, I think 74 could work. 74 is plenty. But the 32 that they're that's what I'm talking about, the way it is. Now, at 74, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and those kind of schools are safely into that. I think every relevant school, a Baylor, a TCU, a Utah, Miami, a Florida State, a Clemson, all of those schools that deserve to be at the table would be in with 74. I don't have a problem with something going that big and then rotating the bottom. Where I have a problem is Greg Sankey thinking, well, we don't need them right now. We're just the big bad SEC and we can do whatever we. Yeah, you actually do. You actually need Florida State, Miami. You need all of these fans just to keep being college football fans is what I'm saying.
Up next, guys, on Locked On West Virginia, Casey and I are going to go over the keys to the game this weekend for Oklahoma State, West Virginia. Really excited about that. We're going to talk about the impact players too. And then after that, we're going to give a game prediction and score in the game. So stick around, guys. We will be right back on this episode on West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Game Time. I love Game Time, guys. I think I've told you about this a lot on here. My favorite tickets that I've ever bought from Game Time go back to the Gator Bowl, West Virginia, Georgia Tech. West Virginia won that game 38-35, and I was in the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium for that, watching Calvin Johnson go off for 200-plus yards. Well, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting your tickets for your favorite live events a lot easier. It filters out the left and shows you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. It's a super deal. It really is. And they even have curated deals that make you find the best price on great seats. You can have a panoramic view of where your seat is and looking at 360. And they even give you a low price guarantee, event cancellation, job loss protection, etc. Get your spot today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. All you got to do is download the app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account, redeem the code. It's LOCKED on college for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. Back with Casey Porter from O State Daily. Appreciate you for being here, man. So This is a big game this weekend. Yeah. I'm excited about it. This is what Big 12 football is all about, right? We're in Stillwater. We're in one of the three best stadiums in all of the Big 12. I think you got to say probably Morgantown definitely is up there with you guys. And then I think probably Rice Eccles has moved into that spot as well. But no doubt that on any list, you got to put the Oklahoma State Cowboys Stadium, Bootsy Pickens in a top three in the Big 12 easily. It's a tough place to play. West Virginia moving down there to play the Cowboys. Who are the impact players on the Cowboys team that West Virginia fans might want to know about?
Yeah. Well, as far as the offensive goes, I think you guys all know about Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon was the Doak Walker Award winner last year. He was really good. Now here's the deal, Paul. He struggled early on. Oklahoma State actually lost to South Alabama. And, I mean, it kind of looked like at the beginning of last year what this year has looked like for the entire season. They took the off season the off week, which Oklahoma State has next week. But last year, they took that off week. They switched their entire blocking scheme up front. They went from a zone scheme to a gap scheme, which Ollie Gordon's a way better back because he's kind of like your running back, C.J. Donaldson. He's not a juke guy. He's not a guy that wants to have three different holes to pick from. He's a guy you need to define the hole for him, maybe one cutback lane, and let him get downhill, right? And so when they switch to that gap scheme, it's like, hey, we're either going to bust it in this hole or you're going to bend it back and cut it back. But those are really your only two options, and you're going to do it the entire time while you're moving downhill. So that, and then also, not only did I think that matched his running style, it also caught other teams off guard. So now teams have caught up to that as far as how to defend all the pulling guards and tackles and the GT counters and the GH counters that OSU runs out of that gap scheme. Other teams have made different adjustments to it. And because Oklahoma State doesn't have a quarterback like West Virginia does with Garrett Green that can pull the ball and make the defense really pay for keying in on Ollie Gordon, it makes it really tough because if you are a front seven member of the defense against Oklahoma State, all you really have to do is key Ollie Gordon. There's no threat on the other side of the line of scrimmage with the quarterback carrying the ball. And because of that, running the ball for Oklahoma State has been incredibly difficult. And when you can't run the ball, and you at that point, it becomes much more difficult to throw the ball, because then teams know, like last week, basically you have to throw the ball every down in the second half. And when you do that, then they start dialing up blitzes. And although Alan Bowman hasn't been sacked, last week was the first sack. Actually, the Utah game was the first sack Oklahoma State had given up all year. It's not about the sacks. Alan Bowman is a guy, and I know West Virginia does a good job of, one thing they do good on defense is actually getting some pressure on the quarterback. Not always sacks, but at least in the face of the quarterback, making them feel the rush. And this is a quarterback, even though he's a seventh-year senior, or whatever you want to call a seventh-year player, right? Okay, yep. He does get jittery with pressure coming towards him. He will throw off his back foot, and when he does that, he gets inaccurate and sometimes throws the ball to the other team.
Is Bowman the kind of quarterback that you can say, so how about if you're struggling in the pocket with pressure, can they move the pocket with a guy like Bowman at all, or is he pretty stationary?
They've done it from time to time. He's not great throwing on the run. And then another deal is, when you do that, Paul, you're eliminating half the field. So now, I mean, you're talking about a front seven that's keying in on Ollie. Now you're talking about a secondary that's only having to cover half the field. So at that point, I mean, you're just reducing all of your options. Where a guy like Bowman can operate successfully at a Division I level is whenever he's throwing the quick routes and he's using the entire field, the width of the field and all of the space to throw to the little quick guys like Brennan Presley, and on the slants, the big physical guys on the outside. So that hasn't been like a great thing that Oklahoma State has been able to do. It's best whenever Alan Bowman is more so the point guard and just distributing the ball in space.
So who's been your best offensive player through 4 games?
Well, our best offensive player, in my opinion, is Brennan Presley. This is a guy that, and I think he had 4 touches last week. That's just a head scratcher. Brennan Presley is the guy that you'll see, and here's why. Brennan Presley is the guy you'll see go in motion, and Coach Dunn does a really good job, our offensive coordinator. That's not a phrase that you'll hear a whole lot in Stillwater this week. Coach Dunn has done a really good job. And you haven't heard that very much in Stillwater this week, but I will say he does a really good job of motioning Brennan Presley to figure out what coverage the defense is in. So, like if West Virginia's in man coverage, he'll run Brennan Presley across the formation. And if the safety or whoever is covering Brennan Presley follows him, then Alan Bowman knows you're in man coverage. If he doesn't, then he knows you're in zone, that kind of deal. So, first of all, that's where Brennan Presley brings a lot of value to this offense. And then also, because Oklahoma State can't run the ball, they've had to throw the ball on Brennan Presley on first down, almost like a quasi-run game, like on a lot of bubbles and quicks, to get like 4 or 5 yards to stay on schedule, if you will, because that's what a run game is supposed to do, is like get you 4 yards on first down. Now it's 2nd and 6, your whole playbook's available to you. Well, so when Oklahoma State can't run, throw it to Brennan Presley, get that same 4 yards with him. And then also, when it's 3rd and 3 and you can't run the ball, you want to throw a pass that you know you're going to complete. He is that guy they'll run on a pick or whatever on a 3rd and 3 and be the guy that moves the chains from that perspective. So to me, the most valuable player definitely on that offense is Brennan Presley.
Yeah, I love the kid. He's got an NFL route tree too. He can really run all the routes. And these days, small receivers aren't taboo like they used to be. So he's gonna be fine. I think he'll make a great slot receiver at the next level. Mm-hmm. So obviously, really quick, what are your keys to this game? And can you give us a status on Nick Martin?
Yeah, Nick Martin will not play this week from everything that I have heard. Oklahoma State will have its pick from linebackers that don't have a whole lot of experience. You know, Kendall Daniels was a safety last year. They moved him down to linebacker. Jeff Robertson does a really good job at linebacker. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. It'll be somebody without experience, and they've already lost Colin Oliver, their All-American type defensive end too, which was their best rush guy. So that's a big loss for OSU.
So I'm assuming one of your keys probably going to be for those guys to play well.
Keys to this Oklahoma State defense, to me, is the fact that they just have been able to – they have just given up so many big plays. And, I mean, you know, like there's schematical reasons for this or that, but what really worries OSU fans about this week is that two kryptonites is one, backup quarterback. We saw that at Utah, and then two, quarterbacks that can scramble and run. We saw that also with the backup quarterback, Utah, Isaac Wilson. But make no mistake about it, Garrett Green, those are my Dodgers dogs in the background. I apologize for that. I'll get them settled down here in a second. But Garrett Green, second leading rusher on the team for West Virginia. That is a massive concern for OSU because quarterbacks that can run are kryptonite to this defense.
Yeah, and Garrett's probably, I think he's the most dynamic one you face yet, personally. Although I know what Avery Johnson brings to the table, but Garrett is just on a little bit more higher of a level, in my opinion. But man, it's going to be fun to see what happens, and certainly Garrett's going to have to be accounted for all day. Yeah, I'm sure they're probably scheming up what Oklahoma State and Utah did to some extent. So we'll see. It's going to be fun to see. My keys really quick before we go into one more break is I think West Virginia does have to establish the run. Now that you say that Nick Martin's probably going to be out of the game, it's probably going to be establish the run game just like we did last year. When we won games, we established the run game, and Garrett could do what he does well, which was lead the country in big-time plays. 31 or more pass plays, over 20 yards Garrett Green had last year, led the nation by a large margin. So when he's at his best, it's shot plays and it's running the ball. So I think that's what we got to get back to, maybe just chew some clock just to protect our defense.
Yep.
Next on Locked On West Virginia, we're going to talk about this game a little bit more. We're going to do a game prediction and score prediction. That's up next on Locked On West Virginia. Episode of Locked On West Virginia is also brought to you by FanDuel, guys. That's right. Hey, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. When you get to hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets, which makes it so much easier. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Let's go to FanDuel right now and check it out and just have a look-see, because as I looked yesterday, Oklahoma State still favored. So the line has moved in Oklahoma State's favor. What does Vegas know that we don't know? Maybe the Oklahoma State Cowboys are going to have something for the Mountaineers, guys. Check that out. Go to FanDuel, place your bets, get your money. It's that simple. All right, in segment 3 of Locked On West Virginia, we've got Casey Porter from O State Daily. Hey, Casey, before we get started on this segment, tell everybody where they can find you at, man. All your shows, anything you want.
Yeah, O State _daily, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then obviously YouTube as well. And then our main station, my main station, is Dodgers Daily, Dodger _daily on the YouTube. If you're a baseball fan or whatever, I'm sure there's not very many Dodgers fans in West Virginia, but you might be because of Michael Grove. He's a Dodger as well. I've actually interviewed Michael on about 4 or 5 different occasions. Matter of fact, interviewed Michael, I think, back in August. So if you want to go check out that interview, Michael was a wonderful pitcher there at West Virginia. I know his career got cut short there with Tommy John about halfway through his sophomore season in 2000, and I believe it was 17. But yeah, so O State _daily. We got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Would love to talk some football with West Virginia fans.
I'm sure there are a few 78 jerseys walking around here. Yeah. I mean, listen, I love watching the kids. So, and I like watching them all, whether it's the kid that played for the D-backs or whoever that's played at West Virginia. Mm-hmm. Always been a big fan. Obviously, the owner of the D-backs is a big West Virginia alum, so we always love talking about him too. But this is going to be a turning point for somebody's season. I think it's pretty safe to say both teams need the win. I think you can make an argument that we need it almost as bad as you guys because of the spot our coach is in. Gundy, this season could go south in a lot of ways, and Gundy's probably going to be safe, right?
Not probably.
Neil Brown is not. Yeah, he's definitely safe. Yeah, Neil Brown doesn't have that luxury. He's got to win this year. You're coming off a 9-win season. You returned almost 80% of your roster, and people expect it in year 6. You haven't been to anything really at all. No, not even in the conversation of the Big 12. So I think there's a lot of pressure. Really, I do for Neil Brown and that staff. And they've had 2 weeks to prepare for you guys, much like you did for us last year. I don't know if that factors in, but let's hope it does. Neil Brown's been good in bowl games. Yeah. Case, give me your game prediction here, man, and what your score is.
I honestly think,
and why, if you want to.
Well, I honestly think, and I don't think this is rose-colored glasses. I think if you go into, I've got some receipts on any of my past shows about when I thought Oklahoma State would struggle and why, and the reasons why. But I think this is the week where Ollie Gordon gets going for Oklahoma State, and the reason why I say that is you have the 6 transfers in the secondary for West Virginia. It has not been a secondary that has done a very good job defending the pass, and because of that, I think they're either one or two things are going to happen. OSU is going to throw for 1,000 yards because our receivers are very good and Alan Bowman is very capable, or you're going to have to beef up the secondary, and then that's going to free up Ollie Gordon. I think probably what West Virginia is going to choose is to beef up the secondary and hope that they can stop the OSU running game with a minimal box. And at that point, I think that's where Ollie Gordon has some success. And if he starts getting some momentum, he's like Garrett Green, man. These guys rely on momentum. They kind of get that momentum early, and then all of a sudden that snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they become unstoppable. So I think the factor of OSU having an advantage, receivers versus your secondary, is going to bleed in to OSU having success running the ball as well. And I just don't think West Virginia will be able to keep up on the scoreboard with what Oklahoma State is going to score on Saturday. My honest opinion, I hope that doesn't make West Virginia fans mad, but those would be my reasonings.
No, not at all, man. Look, I've picked against West Virginia a few times this year. In this game, I'm not. I really feel okay about this game. This is, is on the road is really scary because I almost feel like Neil Brown just has to win it. You got to figure this one out. This is like your entire 6 years coming to a head now because we can't get behind with the schedule we got. We talked about it on your show. The schedule we got to win this game. We just do. It's too pivotal. So I'm going to pick West Virginia to win for that reason, and also because I think we're going to be able to get pressure on Alan Bowman. That's number one. Number two, if there's one secondary that's been a little bit worse than ours, it's been yours up until now. And although against we both played really good competition. Pitt is way better than most people thought they were going to be. I mean, they're really good. And then
y'all had that game won too, man.
Yeah, we should have won the game. We were up 10. And then obviously Penn State is Penn State. They're probably a playoff team for sure. So we played a tough schedule, but so have you. Utah and K-State. So I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I don't think either defense is as bad as it's looked. But I still think West Virginia has more problems, and that's going to be something that need to figure out this game. I still think West Virginia gets it done because of the offense and Garrett Green and running quarterbacks. And I think our running game's going to get going and let Garrett hit a few. And I think this is going to be a high-scoring one, if anything. So I'm going to go 37-34 West Virginia. It's going to look like an old Big 12 game, Casey.
Yeah. Well, that'll be exciting. That'll give me a heart attack. I'm going to be there. I don't miss Oklahoma State home games. And the West Virginia games are always so fun. I will say this, though, other than the 2 years ago when Oklahoma State just fell off the face of the earth. I mean, that was one of the worst period of times as far as football goes in Mike Gundy's tenure, the end of 2022. And then the beginning of 2023, West Virginia came in and won that last game of the year. Of course, Garrett Rangeller, backup quarterback, was in at that time. And so there were some mitigating factors to that. But other than that, I'll say this too, that Oklahoma State has had West Virginia's number. This has been one of those games to where it just seems like, even like with Tavon Austin and teams that Oklahoma State has no business beating, it just seems like somehow OSU's always figured out a way to win this game.
Interesting game, man. Have fun at the game. Thank you for coming on. And, guys, make sure you subscribe. If you want to follow O-State stuff or Oklahoma State stuff, go to Casey Porter and look at him on O-State Daily. And if you like the Dodgers, check that out too at Dodgers Daily. It's going to be great, man. We're going to have a good time this Saturday, guys. We'll be back for our prospective post games. I don't know if Casey will be able to get one, but I'm going to have a post game after the game, so make sure you come to Locked On West Virginia for that. And as always, the last thing we do here, guys, thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your very first, or in this case, last listen of the day, if you can do me a big favor, go check out Locked On College Football up next, guys. As we all know, Casey McLaughlin does an excellent job over there covering realignment, NIL, anything you can look for. Go to Locked On College Football today and make sure Casey is the guy you seek. Have a great one, guys. We'll see you next time.